If you're dealing with a breach, a regulator, a board, or a customer, the question is no longer just, did we protect the network? The question is, do we know what data we have, where it is, whose data it is, what jurisdiction applies, and whether we can recover it cleanly?
Do you know where your data is? If you can't answer that question, you're not alone. Most Canadian business leaders can't either, but their boards are about to start asking because the laws that are coming to the books are unlike anything we've ever seen in this country. I'm Byrne. I'm the Director of Systems Engineering at Veeam Canada. I spend my days sitting across from CIOs, CFOs, and risk officers at Canadian companies, trying to answer questions like this. Where does your data actually live? It might sound simple, but it isn't. And even when you think you have the answer, there's a good chance you're getting it wrong. Welcome to AI Unpacked, a podcast delivering clear answers on AI for Canada's business leaders. Every episode, we take one thing keeping you up at night about data and AI, and we make it make sense. Today, why nobody actually knows where the data is, why that's a major problem, and the one surprising thing about data residency that almost no one gets right. Picture an office in the year 2000. Servers in a room down the hall, filing cabinets, a fax machine that somebody still actually used. If somebody asked you where your data lived, you could point to it. You could walk to it. You could lock the door. That year, that exact year, Canada passed PIPEDA, the country's first real attempt at privacy sector data privacy. For the time, it was thoughtful and it made sense. 26 years later, PIPEDA is still the law, but the data left the building. It left the province. In a lot of cases, it left the country. It moved to platforms that didn't exist when the law was written, to companies that hadn't been founded, under jurisdictions nobody was thinking about. And when the board asks where your data lives today, most leaders have no idea just how much has changed. That's where Darren Guyton comes in. Darren is Veeam's field CTO for the Americas. He sits across from Canadian leadership teams every single week. Here's what he keeps hearing.
Have you ever been notified that your data was compromised in a breach, but the breach was 2 to 3 years ago? And yet you wonder why it took so long for them to notify you. That's because the organization had no clear understanding of what data was impacted, where that data lived, what systems it moved through, who had access to it, or what legal obligations applied.
2 to 3 years? Not because somebody was hiding it, because nobody actually knew. Think about that for a second. Applications have owners, platforms have teams, the cloud has a dashboard, the infrastructure layer is managed, but the data underneath it? Nobody drew the map because nobody's job was to draw it. And until recently, no one asked.
The hardest part is no single team owns the answers. IT, security, legal, privacy, procurement, and the business all own part of it. But boards are no longer looking or want 6 partial answers. They're looking for one clear leadership answer.
6 teams, 6 partial answers, but just one answer your board wants to hear. That's the part most leaders haven't priced in yet, because even if you draw the map, even if you can finally tell your board the data is in Canada, that's not actually the answer. And I'll show you why. Let's say you do the work. You pull every vendor contract. You map every system. You can finally tell your board with confidence, our data lives in Canada. Canadian data centers, Canadian vendors, we're good. Are you? Let me give you an analogy. You buy a house, you do the walkthrough, you sign the papers, you get that deed. You move in, everything is in your name. Then the lawyer calls. There's something buried in the title history. An easement, a legal right-of-way. Another party has claimed a path through your property. It was there before you bought the house. It's going to be there after you sell it. You actually own the property, but someone else owns the right to walk through it. That's what most Canadian organizations have in their data estate right now. Their server is Canadian. The vendor agreement is Canadian, but the easement belongs to another country's laws, specifically the United States Cloud Act. The contract says Toronto, The laws say Washington. There's a technical name for this gap: data residency versus data sovereignty. Residency is the map where the data physically sits. Sovereignty is that easement, who legally controls it. And the gap is about to get a lot more critical to manage. For 26 years, the rules let you get away with not knowing where your data lived. PIPEDA had no teeth. The Privacy Commissioner could investigate, could recommend, could publish findings, but couldn't actually make anyone do anything. It was a suggestion engine, not a must-do. That window is closing and faster than most leaders realize. 2 new laws are landing, likely this year. The first is the proposed replacement for PIPEDA, modeled on Europe's GDPR. For the first time ever, it gives the Privacy Commissioner binding powers. It also comes with fines up to $25 million or 5% of your global revenue. The second law coming is Bill C-8, the Critical Cyber Systems Protection Act. If you run banking, telecom, energy, transport, or nuclear, you'll need a formal cybersecurity program. You'll have to manage supply chain risk. You'll have to report incidents on a clock. This one promises $15 million per violation per day. 2 laws, both coming soon to Canada, both starting with the same question. Do you know where your data is? Darren has watched the boardroom conversation evolve in real time. Here's how he describes the shift.
The old question was, do we have backups? Then it became, can we recover from ransomware? Now the bigger question is, do we know what data we have, where it is, and whether we can actually control it? That's an entirely different conversation. You can have backups, you can have security tools, you could have recovery plans. But do you know what data you have? Do you know where it lives? Do you know who has access to it? Do you know which vendors have a copy? Do you know which laws apply if that data is stored or processed somewhere else?
Backups, ransomware, control. 3 eras of the same conversation. We're in the 3rd one now. And the answer your board is going to want isn't going to come from IT. It's going to come from one place most leaders have never opened with this question in mind: the contracts. So if you've been watching this thinking, okay, fair, what do I actually do? I asked Darren the same thing. His answer is the kind of thing you can do this week, not next quarter, this week, and it costs nothing. Quick thing before we get into it. If this episode is helping you think more clearly about your data, subscribe. We're making this show specifically for Canadian business leaders trying to make confident decisions about data and AI. There's a new one every couple of weeks. Okay. Here's what Darren said.
A practical first step is to pick your top 3 critical vendors. Say, for example, your primary cloud provider, a key SaaS platform, and perhaps your backup or data platform. Then look at the contracts that answer a few basic questions. Where can your data be stored? Where could it be processed? Can it be transferred to another region or country? Who has access to it? And what governing law applies? Then bring legal, security, and IT together and ask one simple question. Do we clearly understand where our data can legally go and who can legally access it? If that turns into a debate instead of a clear answer, you know you have identified a real risk.
3 vendors, 1 afternoon with your legal team. If you can't get a clear answer, you just found your easement. Here's the thing I want every leader watching this to hear. We didn't make bad decisions. We moved to the cloud because it was faster, cheaper, and it let us compete. Nobody got promoted for drawing a data map. That's not the failure. That's how you build a business when the world is moving. The world has moved again. The question your board is asking now isn't how fast can we go. It's, do we actually control what we've built? The organizations that move fastest on AI and move with confidence won't be the ones that spent the most on compute. They'll be the ones that knew their data well enough to trust it. And one last thing from Darren.
Once leadership sees that gap, the conversation changes. Are we compliant to, are we actually in control?
Veeam is the data and AI trust company, specializing in helping organizations ensure their data and AI are fully understood, secured, and resilient to enable the acceleration of safe AI at scale. As the market leader in both data resilience and data security posture management, Veeam is built for the convergence of identity, data, security, and AI risk.